Hello, my name's John. These are some Warhammer 40,000 Harlequins, and you're watching Wargames, Models, and Other Hobbies. Hello and welcome back to another video. For the next few videos I'm going to be building some of the models that I have in my collection, specifically some Aeldari Harlequin characters. I have a Death Jester, a Shadow Seer, and the Solitaire. They're not going to be anything fancy. I'm just going to run through how I'm putting them together, how I prep the models, that kind of thing, and then hopefully in a later video I'll get around to painting these. But today I'm going to get started with the Death Jester, as it's not in a packet, so I thought I'd get this one made first. So all of these models go on 25mm bases. I don't actually have any instructions for the Death Jester, but they're not overly complicated, so we'll put it together bit by bit, and yeah, let's get started. So for this I have some clippers, my scalpel, and some plastic glue, and I'm just going to work my way through this model. So Harlequins I've always liked since they were first released way back in the 80s, 90s. It's the early 80s? No, not early 80s, late 80s. But these specific models, this one is 2013, 2014. But yeah, the one thing I do fear with Harlequins is painting them, because they have lots of different little painted details on them. And I thought I fancy a challenge, so I'll start putting things in my collection together and painting them. So Harlequins are one of them. I've had them in my collection for quite a while, haven't made them, but yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing over the next however long. I'm going to start with the making, but yeah, so I've cut the base out first. Oops. And I'm going to stick that down onto the 25mm base. So I'm going to start by putting a few drops of glue around on the base, then placing it on there. I'm not pushing down on it yet. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see this a little bit better. And then with capillary action, I'm just going to touch the sides with the brush from the glue pot. Now I think out of all of the models I've always had a fondness for the Death Jesters, just because from all of the acrobatic Harlequins they are the ones armed with a massive weapon. They've got their, in this case, the massive cannon there. Just push that in to get the glue to start binding. There's the base, just there like that. But yeah, I really like the kind of the whole aesthetic of the Death Jesters. But anyway, let's carry on. So I'm just going to work through the numbered parts. So I started with number 1, which was that bit. Now we're going to go on to number 2. And in this video, I'm actually going to try and clean up as much as I can while I build them. So normally in my videos, in the real-time videos, you'll have seen I do a lot of cleanup afterwards, but I'm going to have a look at these and kind of work my way through cleaning up mould lines now, so I don't have to think about it later on, because they are quite detailed models in the poses they are in, and because of the shapes and forms it can be quite difficult to tidy these up later on. I'm just using my scalpel to clean up those mould lines. If you don't have a scalpel, you can use one of the little mould line remover tools, or if you've got, say, you're using a Stanley knife or a craft knife, you can still use the blade, or you can use the back of the blade as well, but it's a little bit tougher like that. But I prefer my scalpel. I'm sure most of the people watching this video know how to put these models together anyway. But yeah, my plan is to try and make a lot of the models that I've got in my collection. I do have an awful lot of different models that I've kind of collected over the years, and it's about time I get around to making them so I can decide whether or not I want to keep them. I do like the bases of these ones on the ruined Eldar architecture. Aeldari. I always know them as Eldar, but they are now Aeldari. So that'll sit into there. What I will do, I'm going to get the next piece, which is number 3 here. I have to say, the sprues for these characters are really well laid out and kind of make the most of a lot of the space. Not as good as some other companies, but some of the Games Workshop, some of the Warhammer sprues are thought out really quite nicely. Yeah, Harlequins. Yeah, I want to paint my Harlequins, build them. I don't have a lot of them. In the new Warhammer 40,000, I got about a 500 point force of Harlequins that are mostly sitting unmade, but I don't think it's going to take me too long to put them all together. I thought I'd record the characters while I do them. That's going to go. I mean, that pushes in really quite nicely. So let's get some glue. On there. And that's just going to push straight in. And I can see a little. It's only a little bit of plastic dust, it's nothing major. There we go, cool. So what I will do underneath this, I'm just going to capillary action a little bit of glue in place, and likewise on the hip behind the model where it's going to get hidden by the jacket. I'm just going to put a little bit of extra glue in there. Push that in position a little bit. There we go. It's a nice pose, this one. I do have. So there we go. I do actually have what was metal, then became the fine cast model. So we'll compare these at the end just to see the two most recent Death Jesters. I unfortunately don't have any of the older ones from their first release, but I do have that interim model that was first metal, and then the interesting saga of the Citadel Finecast miniatures. Okay, so there's the base just in there. Well, let's set that aside, and the next bit is going to be, so we've got 4, 5, is that an arm or something else? To be honest, I'm not sure what that bit is. This one just here. Oh no, I know what it is. It's to help hold the cannon in place. So we'll get part 4 off first. I think this particular model came with a box set, which was, can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it was Harlequins versus Deathwatch just before the big shake-up and the introduction of Primaris Space Marines into Warhammer 40,000. So it was the last of the old style Warhammer games, the old Warhammer 40,000 games, before they changed all of the rules. So that's going to sit on quite nicely. This is, I have to say, this is a really nice model to put together. As, like I said, I've got no instructions for this specific one. I am just making by numbers. And it is really going together quite nicely. That's just capillary action. It's what I really do like the thinner plastic glues, because you can just add little bits to them to help stick things down. So that was part 4. Now I'm going to get part 5 and part 6 at the same time, because I think they go on together. Okay. Let's clean up. I have to say, the plastic miniatures nowadays are so much easier to work with than the older metal ones, and so much better than the fine cast ones. I do like working in resin with Forge World models. Well, was Forge World, now are the Expert kits. But yeah, the plastic kits now allow you so many more options with your making and converting. And I have to say, I think I enjoy the making and converting more than anything. I do like painting, but it's getting the time to do painting, and you've got to build the models first anyway. Okay, so looking at this, that's going to stick in place there, and I think this support just comes round here. Okay, so that's where my dodgy thumb doesn't help me. So yeah, this thumb, I had an accident with a table saw once. Okay, how's that? Oh, okay, I see. So there is tiny little nub just on there, and that goes into the hole that's there. I'm going to start by putting the cannon arm in place, I think. Although, let's get part 7 off as well, because that'll help. That's got the rest of the left arm on, as well as the rest of the fancy coat that this guy wears. But what I'm thinking of doing, especially with these characters, is do some painting videos for them. Like I said, it's not something that I'm 100% confident with the Harlequins, but I don't think that really matters if I'm not as confident, because I can show you how I learn in the videos. Okay, so that is this going to need... Okay, so I need to put this arm on first, then that back piece, but before that back piece I need that supporting piece, I think. So let's just go for it. This model's nearly done now. It'd be nice to compare this with the old one. I can't compare the other models with their older variations, as I don't have those ones. Let's just hold that in place for a little bit. There we go. And then this is going to be a little bit of glue in that section there, a A little bit of glue just there. And I think I am going to use my tweezers to help me position it, as I can't quite get my fingers in the right place. He says not being able to get there. We go. So that's a little supporting arm. Quite like the look of that in there. And while that's there, let's capillary a little bit of glue in there, and then I'm going to want to run some glue around the top of the collar there, a little bit on the back of the hand there, and let's see how easily this slots in place. Not that easily. There we go, and now it's clipped in place. That's probably the toughest part of this kit, actually, just making sure that clips all in place. That's capillary action again. Probably the word of the video is capillary action. Okay, so that's the main body in place. Let's sort the head out. So let's clip the front of the head and then the mask for... Oh, there's two masks. Right, we have a split mask, or we have the full skull, and I'm going full skull. I might save that other mask for another Harlequin model. Put the sprue to one side. These are the fiddliest bits of the model. If there's any other types of video that you'd like to watch on the channel, whether it's making, whether it's converting, painting, or something completely different, please drop it in the comments. I do appreciate suggestions from you guys, as I'm just making these as part of my hobby for this channel, but the people who sit down and watch these videos, if there's anything that you really want to see, let me know. I'm quite happy to answer questions, make specific videos for your viewing pleasures. Whoops, that's... And I know these models aren't brand new. It's quite nice making everything in my collection. So let's just clear everything aside. So there is the Death Jester. Let's have a quick look compared to the previous version of it. They actually scale's pretty similar, and they don't look too dissimilar. No, I quite like them. I might rebase him and see if I can include them in the same force. There we go, two Death Jesters. And that's it, a Harlequin Death Jester. Really nice model, this one. So like I said, in the next few videos I'm going to be making a few more Harlequins, but for now all I can say is thank you so much for tuning in. My name's John, and you've been watching War Games, Models, and Other Hobbies.